Good afternoon! It is time. The deadline stream is back. The final stop of this European triple header. And what a European triple header it's been. We have a lot of things to discuss today. So let's get some people in here and then let's get it cracking. We'll chat in the meantime, but hopefully we can get some people in here and I can begin shortly because, man, do we have a schedule to go through. There's a lot of things going on. Alright, where's my chat? There we go. Celtic, Kalandori, Chris, Salvador, Sanja, Joshua. F1 predict to start? We could do that, yeah. F1 predict to start seems like a good thing. Maybe we should start doing that while we get people into the stream. That's not a bad shout, Celtic, actually. And then if people ask about it, I can just say go to the start of the stream. Alright, what do we think is going to happen? What do we think is going to happen in the Spanish Grand Prix? Ferrari looked kind of mid. I saw a really funny meme. I just have to bring it up because, like, it is so unbelievably true. It literally happens every time. Alright, here we go. So, this is the classic Ferrari loop. Okay? The classic Ferrari loop. And this was last week in Monaco. And this is us now. So, yeah. Anyway, I think the podium is gonna be Big Max, Big Lando, and Big Piastri. And I think pole position will be taken by Max. Max looks really good this week. Who will qualify the highest? Yeah, that seems like a simple question. How far will Isaac Hadjar progress in qualifying? I mean, he keeps getting Q3, so why not? Who will set the fastest pit stop time of the race? Well, it has to be Ferrari. That's one thing that Ferrari are always on. Always turn on for. Who will set the fastest lap time of the race? I mean, this is just guesswork. I'm gonna say Max gets it. 20 points seems like a good bet. Sorry. Who will finish the race ahead? I'm gonna say Sainz. I'm backing Sainz this week. I'm backing Sainz. Mercedes and Ferrari having a mid-off this week? Yup. Will there be a safety car? I'm gonna say no. I get more points for saying yes. I'm gonna say yes. And then how many classified finishers? Let's say that there will be. You know, it's not. I'll bet on 18. Two DNFs seems reasonable. And like this gives no points, so I might as well just bet 18. And who will be ahead in the team standings after the race? I'm gonna put Racing Bulls. All right, that's my F1 predict. Boom. 20, you say? Yeah, but I placed the extra points on the line that there will be a safety car, and I'm assuming that if there's a safety car, someone will DNF. Oh yeah. I have to put a 2x on something. 15 points, 18, 15, 15, 15. What am I like most certain is going to happen? I mean, I feel like it's always optimal to put this on this. No, it's always optimal to put the 2x on the podium because, like, if you get it exactly right, you get 18 points for Max Verstappen doubled. Like, that's more than betting on. Even though I do think Hadjar will get to Q3, like, if Max wins, I just automatically got more points than that, and I get extra points even then. So I feel like the 2x should almost always go on the podium prediction. I feel like that's optimal way to play it. All right. Missed last week's stream due to attending Indy 500 for the first time. Oh, congratulations! I mean, Indy. You went to the wrong Indy, but yeah, must event for any race fan. Yeah, I'm hoping that the US calms down a bit so I can go sometime. I went with a McLaren Williams build. Should I consider a -10 to get better point scoring team? It depends on what kind of point scoring team. We're going to talk a lot about point hits today because I feel like a lot of people are in that sort of ballpark of teams where a point hit looks at least enticing. I should say. All right, so let's have a look at my team real quick. I used Limitless last week on this team, which means that right now, this is my team. I'm happy because that meant I didn't sell Hajar. I was very likely to sell Hajar last week if I didn't Limitless. Hajar obviously turned up and looks like the best cheap asset this week by quite some margin. Here we go, required points. Only needing 2 points for a points this increase is pretty incredible. So I think Hajar is like the must-have cheap asset this week. If you don't have Hajar, buying Hajar is literally never a bad option. And at his price point, I think most people can afford him. I would have Hajar over literally any other cheap asset, even over Albon. If you had to pick between Albon and Hajar, I would pick Hajar this week and put 8 million in the bank, and then, you know, at least you can use those 8 million for a potential final fix. So with this team, the main issue is obviously Mercedes. Mercedes has got to go. I talked about it in both my videos that I posted this week, both my team selection as well as my final thoughts that I posted yesterday. And I mean, Mercedes actually just has got to go. I cannot keep them in my team. The question then is, do I go for Ferrari or Red Bull? And for me, it seems like quite an easy choice. In the position where I'm at with this team, I feel like I should just go Red Bull Racing. Now, there is merit to picking Ferrari. Pit stop points, obviously. Hamilton looks decently on it this week from practice, I will say. Whereas, like, Antonelli and Tsunoda aren't really performing as well. So, Ferrari, you know, has 2 good drivers. But I do just think Max Verstappen could really scoop up the points this week. So there's just this evil guy on my shoulder saying Max will win, you know? So I feel like that's going to happen, and I'm sort of playing into the hands that is what is going to happen. And as for my -5, right? I could just afford to just do this. This would be one move. I could call it a day here. The devil, however, on my shoulder that is sitting there and saying Max will win, Max will win, Max will win, is also telling me to take a -10 to do this. I don't know. What do we think? Yeah, surely not. Mercedes has got to go. Like, Mercedes is being sold no matter what. But a -10 for this team, going all in on Verstappen, could work. You wouldn't? I can see why. I could also just keep Piastri and still do the Albon to Sainz move, right? That leaves me final fixable as well, right? I could do this, because I do think Sainz is better than Albon this week. Driver of the day potential. You have decent pace in practice. Both have looked good recently. Williams looked good for points. And also, Sainz looked better for budget increases, if we assume they are the same, right? Where Sainz only needs a 10-pointer to increase in price, whereas Albon needs a 15-pointer. So, why Sainz over Lawson? I'm at this point, I feel like my budget is kind of fine, and I just don't really trust Lawson. And for Sainz, he could get driver of the day. If Sainz puts a P5, I could see him getting driver of the day. Yuki Tsunoda got driver of the day for being P12 in his home race. And if Sainz gets driver of the day, he's increasing in price. So I prefer Sainz over Lawson this week, if you can afford it. Don't fancy Racing Bulls as a constructor? I personally don't. But I can see why people do it. Thoughts on triple McLaren? I think it's too big of a budget investment to be viable currently. I don't think it's bad, like, but you know, McLaren are scooping home the points every week, I suppose. So as for Racing Bulls, right? The thing with the Racing Bulls constructor is I'm not expecting them to score that much, right? I'm expecting Ferrari and Red Bull to be up there in the 50s in terms of points. And, I mean, what are we realistically expecting the Racing Bulls to get? 25, 30 points, maybe? Which, again, isn't bad. But, I don't know. I could do something like this. That's the thing, though. And, I mean, this also doesn't look bad, I will say. This is also not a bad move. It's just, I don't know. How much do I trust the Racing Bulls team? And here I would obviously put this. To be fair, this doesn't look half bad. What about Alonso? Alonso is a luxury move. I really like Alonso, but I have other things I have to change, Moto. So, if I had an extra transfer in there, I would do Bortoleto to Alonso. I think Alonso is better than Bortoleto. It's just I have to sell Mercedes, and I would rather switch my 2X around to Max Verstappen or sell Albon to Sainz or whatever than change Bortoleto. So for me, I'm just stuck with Bortoleto for now. But it's not like Alonso's going to increase in price either, so I can just get Alonso next week. Obviously, Alonso could also get driver of the day in his home race if he scores points. But, yeah. I'm just going to quickly finish my dinner, or my lunch, rather, because I didn't have time to finish it while setting up the stream, so apologies while I take a bite. Alright. But yeah, I think the real options I have in terms of what to do with my team. Option 1 is just get Red Bull Racing in, don't change anything else. One transfer, save transfers for Canada, okay? Option 2 is to do Red Bull Racing in and and the reason I'm doing Red Bull Racing over Ferrari here is just this team, the budget just works out better. Because here I would get Carlos Sainz. So option 2 is to do Mercedes to Red Bull, Albon to Sainz. This gives me enough budget in the bank to move Piastri to Verstappen on a potential final fix if I want to. And obviously option 3 would be to do this. And then option 4, I guess, is the V-Carb option. Fraser! Nice, okay. Good time for me to plug it. We now have fixed the members team submissions channel on the Discord. So, if you become a member of the channel, it's just like $2, I think. Your team will be prioritized when we do team submissions in 45 minutes time. So if you want to guarantee that I see and look through your team submission, that's the way to do it. Obviously you don't have to, you can just put it in the regular team submissions as always top of the hour, and you put them in the Discord link in the description. Also, I am live on Twitch. I haven't actually said hi. Swartz, hi. Uber, welcome. We are live on Twitch as well, so if you're live on Twitch and watching, make sure to say hi right now. I'm usually looking at YouTube chat the most, but I will make sure to pay some attention to you as well. The reason I'm streaming on Twitch as well is... Kellen, there you go. The reason I'm streaming on Twitch as well is that after the deadline stream is over, we will do the watch-along for the qualifying over on Twitch. So if you haven't already, top of the description, I think, or second top of the description, anyway, it's somewhere down there, is my link to my Twitch channel. So go there, over there, and follow it, so we can get that ball sort of rolling a bit. All right, that's enough attention for the Twitch people right now. Thoughts on Lawson? I think Lawson is great. It's just I'm just not in a position to really get him. I mean, obviously I can get him instead of Sainz, but I prefer Sainz. The Twitch subs get prior on team also? Yes. Once we can have Twitch subs, they would be in the same category as members. Yes. But we need to reach enough, you know, a large amount of streams before we can get subs on Twitch. So that is just not active yet. And while I'm talking all of things non-F1 Fantasy related, but channel related, like the stream if you're on YouTube, because what are we at? 85 likes, 250 people in here. We can get it to 100 right now. Let's get some of the bumpy music going for this. Alright, I should probably lower the music slightly. I forgot to do that before the intro. I apologize if it was too loud. Alright. So, I feel like I should. I feel like we should bring up the fabled MS Paint already this stream. Why? Well, because I have so many options to consider. So, are we ready for some MS Paint? All right, let me warm up the MS Paint fingers. Okay. So, we have multiple options. And that's why we need to do this. We need to properly draw up a map. How do we do this? All right, let's do like current team. So, I have, let's just do the problem assets, right? I'm not gonna like draw up Colapinto because I'm keeping Colapinto, obviously. So, we have, currently we have Mercedes. We have Piastri. I'm not saying Piastri is a problem, but Piastri is one I might sell. We have Albon. And that's it, right? That's all I'm considering changing for this week. So, this is current, right? Current. Okay. So, then we have... Nope, that's bad. That's better. We have option 1 is to just get Red Bull Racing in. Red Bull Racing, save a transfer, so +1 transfer in Canada. All right, that's option 1. Option 2 is again Red Bull Racing, and we get Sainz. Or, because everyone is gonna ask me why I prefer Sainz, I'm just gonna put Sainz or Lawson. But personally, I prefer Sainz. But it could be Sainz or Lawson. Pros with this team is that I can final fix Verstappen if I want. Okay, that's important to note with Team 2 is that that's a possibility. We then have option 3, which is again Red Bull Racing. And again, if it's Lawson here, I'm actually just going to do this. Red Bull Racing or Ferrari here. Because if I go for Lawson, I would have more money in the bank and can then go for Ferrari. So, yeah. Red Bull Racing, Verstappen, and Sainz or Lawson. For a -10. And then option 4, last but certainly not least, V-Carb. And Albon to Verstappen. Okay, does this make sense? These are my 4 options. I'm doing one of these 4 things. So, I want everyone, because I have a poll up already telling you to like the stream, and I don't want to redo that. So I'm going to tell everyone. Option 3 is not a -10. Option 3 is a -10. I have to make 3 transfers. I only have 2. So option 3 is a -10. I only have 2 transfers. So option 3 is I don't keep Piastri in option 3. I sell Piastri to Verstappen. That's the point of the -10. Option 4 is not a -10 because I keep Piastri. Option 3, I have Red Bull Racing. Alright. Is option 4 an autopilot or just autopilot and sprint? Option 4, I would autopilot later. But it is a sort of team you could autopilot with. I want, on the count of 3, everyone to just spam the number they like the most. And we're just going to manually try and figure out what you prefer, okay? Ready? Look through. Think about them. No, on 3. I specifically said on 3, okay? I haven't counted down yet. 3, 2, 1, go. Spam, 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 spam. 4, 4, 4, 3, 4, 2, 2, 2. Oh my god. 2, 1, 4, 4. I see a lot of 4s. I see no 3s. Everyone hates my -10. Okay. 2, 2, 4, 4, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 4, 4, 1, 4, 4, 2, 2. Someone likes my 3. Okay, 2, 4, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 4, 2, 2, 2, 2, 4, 4, 4, 2. Okay, I see a lot of. I like in Twitch. There's one number. There's just a 3. Shout out Uber, man. There's just one 3 in Twitch. YouTube chat is going crazy. Oh my god. Okay, I saw a couple ones, a few amount of 3s, shout out Twitch, and a lot of 2s and 4s. A lot of 2s and 4s. So, let's do an actual poll this time. That's sad. Hey, Twitch is new. It's the second time I'm ever streaming on Twitch from this channel. So, option 2 or option 4. Now we need to get this straight. We're gonna spam again. In option 2, do you prefer Red Bull Racing Sainz or Ferrari Lawson? So, I cannot do Ferrari Sainz. I don't have enough money for that. I could do Red Bull Racing Lawson, I suppose. So, spam on 3, again, on 3. Don't do it yet, on 3. Spam me the combination you like the most. Red Bull Racing Sainz, Red Bull Racing Lawson, or Ferrari Lawson. If you say Ferrari Sainz, I will ban you. Well, I will not ban you. I'll time you out for like 10 minutes because you didn't listen to me. Alright. 3, 2, 1, go. Ferrari Lawson, Ferrari Lawson, Ferrari Lawson, Ferrari Lawson. A lot of Ferrari Lawson. I was expecting more Red Bull Racing hype. Red Bull Racing Sainz, Ferrari Lawson. A lot of Ferrari Lawson. Okay, interesting. I thought we thought Ferrari was in the mud, but Red Bull Lawson. I was thinking Red Bull Sainz personally, but maybe I'm just blind to the sign. I just want Sainz Sainz driver of the day points. Why not Alonso over Lawson? I mean Lawson can at least increase in price, right? So I prefer Lawson over Alonso. Though, I mean, you're right. I should probably consider Alonso in that slot as well. Alright, a lot of Ferrari Lawson. Interesting. Okay, that has given me some insight in what the community thinks. Very cool. We should check F1 Fantasy Tools, because we have to you know, ask God what they think about it. By the way, the best place to support me is through F1 Fantasy Tools. You have the code right there next to me. If you want to get their premium features, you might as well do it with my code. I get a small little teeny little cut off your subscription. So it's by far the best way to support me, and you also get something really valuable out of it for, you know, a coffee a month. So if you haven't signed up to F1 Fantasy Tools Premium yet, I got you covered. Team calculator. So, does anyone know if there will be FP3 simulations, or are we just looking at? I'm not logged in. Oh no, I am. Okay. Have we seen anything about a post FP3 simulation, or is it we're just getting FP2 simulations today? Science are also for drivers today. Yeah, I've been talking about Science getting drivers today, which is why I slightly prefer Red Bull Racing Science over Ferrari Lawson. There will be FP streams? Okay, cool. We'll look at that when that drops. So, for expected points, I actually really liked Alonso. Interesting. Yeah, so this was not even on my beautiful paint paint drawing that I did, but at least points wise, the F1 Fantasy Tool Simulation prefer Red Bull Racing Alonso. Budget wise, I would imagine. Okay, let's just keep McLaren in there. Yeah, budget wise, it really likes getting VCarb in there. So the VCarb Verstappen is definitely the most budget friendly opportunity. Only an expected 15 points is kind of what scares me. But like if Verstappen wins, he could kind of make up for it. Verstappen is okay. So okay. The reason I'm considering the VCarb more and more, the more I think about it, right, is that the power of the Red Bull Racing constructor is not in the Red Bull Racing constructor. It's in Max Verstappen, and we've been saying this for years. So effectively, by doing option, which was option 4, right? If we just pretend that this is a... Okay, I need you guys to play pretend for a second, okay? Can you guys do this? Close your eyes. Oh, we just got a super chat from Carlos. Thank you so much, Carlos, by the way. Always appreciated. Piastri, Albon, Hadjar, Colapinto, Stroll, McLaren, Williams. Limitless in Monaco. Mandel on table, 1 2 transfers, 3 transfers for a -10, or wildcard. I think wildcard is really viable this week, depending on what team you have. For your team, like, I would want to sell both Albon and Stroll, and maybe Williams as well, like at least 2 Racing Bulls, right? So maybe wildcard is on the table if you want to make a lot of changes and go for like a Verstappen-based team, right? If you don't want to go for a Verstappen-based team over, like, if you want to keep Piastri, I would rather take the -10. But if you want to get rid of Piastri as well as like Albon, Stroll, and Williams, then I would definitely consider wildcarding. All right. Back to thank you so much for the super chat, by the way. Back to Williams look terrible in free practice. Yeah, Williams have looked worse in free practice than I expected. Behrman is better than Sainz this week, bro. I disagree, Nixie, just because of obviously Williams haven't looked, you know, extraordinary, but they still always seem to find their way into the points. And we've seen what driver of the day can be like this year. And if Sainz gets driver of the day, then like. He's insane. McLaren looked untouchable in FP3? Yes. Alright. Let me play pretend, okay? Is everyone ready to play pretend? In this team, imagine Racing Bulls is a driver that is guaranteed bar DNF to increase 0.6 million. I think even with... Let me check this, right? Required points. Even with 1 DNF, they technically could still increase the maximum. So, don't look at this VCarb as a constructor. Look at it like a driver. Because we have the Red Bull Racing constructor right here. With a 2x. Okay? I don't have to imagine already locked in that team. What do you think of Williams? I think Williams is not a bad option. But I would rather have VCarb this week. And I would rather have a full premium constructor than Williams. Ferrari or Red Bull? I think it depends on your budgets, Emily, and like what other moves you're making with it. I think it's very, very close. Truthfully, like I don't know which I would go for. I have on my team, which has the highest budget, I have Ferrari. Here I'm considering Red Bull because my budget is lower. So it's very, very close this week. But it's like, say you want a Sainz, for example, or say you want Hadjar, you know, you want to upgrade a Colapinto to a Hadjar or something like that, right? Maybe you have to go for the Red Bull Racing Constructor in order to afford that, and I would rather do that. I don't think the difference is enough between Red Bull and Ferrari this week to really distinguish it. So imagine this is the Red Bull Racing Constructor, and this is just a guaranteed 0.6 million. I'm kind of digging this the more I think about it. I wasn't really considering switching to VCarb this week, but the fact that I can do it in 2 moves, and I feel like this could like also be good for points. And then the thing with this move, right? This gains me 0.6 million, and then next week in 2 weeks' time in Canada, I could do just like, all right. Imagine I have this team, and then in Canada I just do Piastri and VCarb out. And go back to a premium team if VCarb don't look good anymore. I could literally just go to Alonso. And I can fit in literally whatever I want. Nigel the Crab with the super chats. Thank you so much. Could wildcard to triple McLaren and VCarb, but debating whether it's 2 differential given I'm 423 overall. Big shout, to be honest. Triple McLaren VCarb seems insane. For the exact same reason that I'm doing this, right? It's like next week you can spend 2 transfers and easily get back like out of VCarb for anything. Just get like one of the 4.5 million assets in there, and you're back like on a meta team. So I think it's very aggressive. It's very aggressive. But if you think McLaren are gonna want to it guaranteed, I would go for it. I think it's really cool. I mean, it's something like that, Nigel. Okay, at your position, if I was top 500 in the world, I would probably make a play like this just because. If this goes right for you, that's your legitimate push for number 1. Like, actually winning the entire thing. Because you're in the position where that could happen. And if you get one of those hero calls right in a season, that's like how you're firmly holding on to pole position. And once you are up there in the like top 10, then you just have to play solid throughout the rest of the year, avoid DNFs, and you can actually have a shot of winning the entire thing. So I mean, this could be huge, and the fact that you can so easily switch back to a premium constructor by doing this after, is like, you know, in Canada, you just do this. I think my submissions shows how much on the fence everyone is. Yeah, we're gonna spend some time on the team submissions today, way more than we did last week, because. Okay, so far this year, there's been a very clear meta, right? It's been Piastri, it's been McLaren, it's been Mercedes. And whichever drivers that you can afford that can increase in price. That has been the meta essentially since like race 3. This is the race, we're a third way through the season. Everything's diverging. All we needed was Mercedes to be shit. And everything is spreading out. Seriously tempted now? Okay, if McLaren double DNF, because they crash into each other in turn 1, don't blame me, but I think it's a really cool differential opportunity, and I don't think anyone else in the top 500 is going to attempt it, and if it goes right, it goes really right for you, right? Okay, back to what I was saying, right? This week, 2 transfers, I do the VCarb play, I gain budget, guaranteed, I put the 2x on Max Verstappen, which is what I wanted to do anyway, to be differential, right? And then next week, if I want to go back to a premium, I could either sell Verstappen or sell Piastri and upgrade, which, you know, whatever I want here. Vibehub says, I have the same team as you, considering the same VCup team as you, but I have an extra transfer. You're in the opportunity to Bortoletti to Alonso. Like, that's what you could do. If I had 3 transfers, like, this would be on the cards, right? Why do you want to be differential so badly? Because this is the week to do it, Nixie. Like, so far this season, you've had to follow the meta. This week, people are diverging from the meta. And if you get it right this week, it's huge. And also the fact that, like, if you're the one who stayed back with Piastri and it doesn't work out, you're going to lose to those who went early. I think if it's a single week to go differential, it's this one. Just because a lot of people are spreading out. So, like staying with the main, you know, there is less downside if it goes badly. And what I mean by that is that, say you do go out of the meta team, you know, you go out of, you had McLaren, Mercedes, Piastri, and you go for Max Verstappen on the 2X or something, you go for, you know, this kind of team. If it turns out the meta team was, the previous meta team was the best team anyway, you know, George Russell pops up with a P3 out of nowhere, again, Antonelli's 5th, and like McLaren, Mercedes, Piastri was the best team, Piastri wins the race. You lose less on it because so many people have diverged from the meta this week. Does that make sense? So that's the reason why, like, if there's a time to do something a bit differential, it is this week, because everyone is diverging from the meta anyway. If I can't afford this team, would it be worth to go for Sauber instead of VCarb? No, I think a lot of the power is to go in for the VCarb. I like this team, but I could only afford Leclerc instead of Max. Would that still make sense? I like it less. I will say that. I think the main thing, the reason I like this is because I can put the 2x on Max Verstappen. Can you give us a rough guide on how many points we should be willing to trade off for budget? That's the thing. Like, nobody knows. Really, nobody knows, because it's so hard to predict when that extra 2 million in the budget is going to really matter. Right now, an extra 2 million in the budget doesn't matter. I mean, obviously I can afford this, right? But in general, if we go back to like a more meta setup, you just go for Lawson instead of Sainz, right? Say we go for option 2 or whatever it was, where I do this. A lot of people liked, you know, this move. If you have 5 million less in the budget than me and can't afford this, you just go for Lawson and it's completely reasonable. So right now, 2 million extra in the budget doesn't make that much of a difference. But at some point, we're gonna come to a meta where someone can afford 2 premium drivers, 2 premium constructors in a way that just makes a lot of sense. Similar to how Piastri, McLaren, Mercedes made so much sense earlier in the season when that was the meta. We're gonna reach a point where we get a new meta with a new budget tier. And if you're there, you're there. If you're not there, you're not there. And then it's just how many races does it take until you can get to it as well. And how many points that is, I don't know. It's really difficult. What are you seeing in Verstappen that I'm not seeing this week? It's just a vibe. It sounds bad to say, but Verstappen has been so on it this week. We have obviously McLaren saying their technical directives aren't going to impact them at all, but you know, of course they would say that. Red Bull are confident that it will. Verstappen has looked better in the car recently, you know, with Imola there as well. Red Bull upgrades. You know, if you bet on anyone to be P3, it would be Max Verstappen, like behind the McLarens. And if anyone can actually go and beat the McLarens out of nowhere, it is Verstappen. And yeah. Williams looked like they went backwards, might go to a VCarb for budget building. If you're on a Williams team, I do think you go for VCarb. Piastri's just 1 second faster than Verstappen in FP3. Let's look at... If Piastri and Verstappen makes sense to use 3x chip? No, 3x chip is always better in sprint weekends. Maybe if I am on Piastri and Verstappen, I still keep Piastri on the 2x. I don't know. You prefer Red Bull Racing to Ferrari at this time? I don't know. That's the thing. What kind of scenario in qualified would you final fix from Piastri to Verstappen? If either Verstappen is like goes out in Q1 and is like starting P18 or something like that crazy for some reason, and he can just climb through the field and still finish top 5. And Piastri's not on pole, like say Piastri's like P3 or whatever, and Verstappen goes out in Q1 for some reason, I would go for Verstappen on the final fix. The other thing is if like Piastri's like 5th or 6th and Verstappen is on pole. Those are like the 2 points where I would consider final fixing Piastri to Verstappen on the 2x. What about Verstappen, McLaren, Red Bull? Because if Max is fast, it doesn't make more sense to bring Red Bull in. Yes, but that would mean a -10 for my team, and that was one of my suggestions on my. So these are like sort of my options, right? these are what I have currently, and these are the options. Is it too risky to have had Lawson and VCarb all in? I wouldn't say it's too risky. Sometimes that's just life, right? So that's just how the game works. Ebb on Twitch says, "Hi Rain, big up for your great content. Thank you so much. It's my first F1 Fantasy year. I have Piastri, Albon, Tsunoda, Bortolone, but I think I already used my walker. Should I take the -10? I think it will be better to take it. I mean, Williams to Red Bull Racing, and you kind of need to get rid of Tsunoda and Albon. I think it's fine to take the -10 to get rid of Albon and Tsunoda in this instance. I don't think it's too bad. We're doing team submissions, by the way, on Discord, so full team submissions. I just did one on Twitch right now, but normally, top of the hour, so in 20 minutes time, we're going to do all the team submissions. Top of the hour, as always. But thank you for the comment on Twitch, where I'm also live, by the way. If you've just joined us, we're approaching 400 viewers, which is insane, by the way. Thank you so much, guys. Like the stream. We're on 180 likes on YouTube. We can definitely reach 200 right now. Let's up the hype slightly. In the music, put Freelancer on, the GOAT song. Alright. The thing is, I'm not anywhere closer to deciding what I want to do with my team. I think I've ruled out doing number 1. I don't think we're doing this. I think it's too valuable to actually make transfers this week. And I do think the more you guys have convinced me and no one said 3, I think I've also ruled out this. The -10 here. Yeah, I guess Piastri's just too good. McLaren are just too dominant. It's scary to move away from McLaren, huh? 188 likes. We can definitely get 12 more. 370 of you currently in the stream. If I do this and get Racing Bulls and Verstappen in, do I still put the 2x on Piastri? I guess if I'm like differential, but I'm still protecting myself against the meta, in a way. But I feel like if I'm putting the 2x on Piastri, it's just the simulations are so good for McLaren. I don't think I feel like I can't go against like this big of a point swing, right? I guess it's just like 35 to 27, but like that is still a lot. Is autopilot worth it? No, I think it's better to save it. Who's best for budget building? It's VCarb. So it's something like this team right here, or this team. I'm 1 million short of Verstappen. What would you recommend? Russell, Leclerc, Hamilton? I don't love the option where it's not Verstappen in this slot, to be honest. In that case, I think it's better to just get Red Bull Racing or Ferrari in here and have a cheaper asset here. I think, okay, obviously, for the budget I'm on, I can afford Verstappen here. If you can't afford this, I mean, not significant. It's on a percentage scale, right? But I would say I prefer the option of going like Red Bull Racing or Ferrari plus like a, Lawson way more. Verstappen or Norris for that spot. For this spot, if you can go for triple McLaren, I do think that could be really strong. I just can't afford it, right? So it's not in my. I don't have the option to do it. Which one, Red Bull or Ferrari? It depends on your budget and which other assets you want alongside it. I think it's very close. I can't call that. I have split my strategies on my team. FP3 seems in. Things you love to hear. We're saved. Okay. Look at the points here. Predicted points for Norris and Piastri, about 35 points, right? Verstappen 28. Let's see how that changes with FP3. Post FP3. It does change. Piastri goes up a bunch based on his FP3 performance. And Verstappen goes down slightly. Yep. New sims out, new sims out. Thank you, guys. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Let's go back to Team 1 for points. Interestingly now is that they prefer Ferrari, whereas previously they preferred Red Bull. FP3 seems like Ferrari. Yeah, FP3 seems really like Ferrari. So I get that. I think that answers your question, Sumit, that you just asked. The simulations really prefer Ferrari over Red Bull in this one. I think that's fair as well. Like, if Lando's P2, I probably wouldn't use the FF on it. But say like Lando's like P5 or P6, had Verstappen's on pole, I would definitely final fix it. 100%. Right, is loving Ferrari? Yeah, I can tell. Okay, so if we go by the Reuther's obsession, like Ferrari obsession here, this would then be... Why did I say that I can't afford Ferrari plus Sainz? Oh, because I couldn't afford it with the... I can't afford to final fix it. Okay. I don't think I'm going for Sainz, though. Final choices at the moment. A lot of choices. I don't know what to do. Will you take a -10 from Williams to VCarb? Are you really picking... Like, do you think VCarb will score that many more points than Williams? I think both of them are increasing in price, so you might as well just stick with Williams. I wouldn't -10 it now. Ferrari had good race pace yesterday. That makes sense. What if you put Leclerc and Verstappen instead of Piastri and Verstappen? I assume you mean Leclerc and Piastri. New sim? Yep, I'm aware. We're looking at them. Oh. Or is it like an additional new sim? Okay. Why not Sainz? I mean, the more Williams don't look fantastic. I guess this one likes Sainz, right? I mean, it's Sainz, Lawson, or Alonso. Do you think Albon is going to be that bad? I need to sell Albon to afford Ferrari. That's a problem. I don't think Albon is that bad. Like, Albon's solidly mid this week. But again, Albon is going to have a tough time increasing in price. He needs 15 points to increase in price. Team submissions in 12 minutes. Let's see if we can slam out a tier list before then, because we do need to discuss the cheap assets. We really do. Let me set that up real quick. As always, feel free to have inputs if you disagree with any of my placements. So, what I will put on your screen this very moment is obviously what we did last time. So we're gonna remake this. This is not what it looks like. Alright, we can kind of remove you. Alright. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, similarly to last week, we have to be quick with this. Wow, that's not what I want to do. That was a... Poof. Okay. So, quickly. Colapinto, I would say is top of A, like one of the better assets. I mean, everyone already has him, so why bother? George Russell, is he C or F? He's somewhere down here, for sure. Verstappen, solid, good. I might buy him this week. I think Lando is even better if you can afford him, but, you know, money's tight at the moment. I don't think Behrman's bad, but, you know, 9 points to increase. Solid. Haas always seems to qualify badly and have good race pace. Behrman's good. Yuki Tsunoda, Yuki Tsunoda is decreasing in price again, so like just don't own Yuki Tsunoda. Like there's literally no need. I think Russell's also like just don't own Russell. Hadjar the GOAT, literally my GOAT, rookie of the year right there. Signs is definitely A tier, definitely a good option. Gasly, just sell. What's the point? He does this every time. Alonso A tier for sure. Stroll, what's his budget like? Oh, it's terrible, terrible. I would put Stroll down in F also. Like, just don't. Why own Stroll? Lawson's good. Lawson is A tier. He's not Hadjar good, but he's good. Bortoletto's A tier. As always, there's going to be a lot of good options here. Hulkenberg is, I mean, not terrible, but I would say he's B tier. I think Albon is also B tier this week. Lewis Hamilton. I don't know when I would ever go for Hamilton. I think Hamilton's quintessential C tier. Ocon is terrible. Don't own Ocon. Kimi's terrible. Don't own Kimi. He's dropping in price. Leclerc is slightly better, I think. And then obviously, like, as always, just always up here. I think this is the tier list. Okay. I know we rushed through that, but. Alright, I want you guys to look at this. Which one do you not agree with? Tell me right now or forever hold your silence. Who do you not agree with? Leclerc A tier? I think maybe if I put Verstappen there, right? I think maybe Verstappen and Leclerc should be the same tier. How about that? I can stretch to that Verstappen is a niche B tier option. Alonso for sure? Nah, Alonso's A tier. Alonso's not S. Like, all of these cheap guys they're just A tier. They're good options. It's not like a particular order, like from left to right. It's just whenever I place them. Oh, you mean Alonso B? No, Alonso's A tier because he's 4.5 million. Behrman is C tier? I disagree. I think Behrman is a decent option this week. I think Behrman and Albon are like equal this week. Alonso has too many DNFs? Sure, but does that mean that will continue? Not necessarily. Don't agree with Ham if he qualifies low, he will make a places with Ferrari race pace, and he has dominated this track like Mac. That is a good point. I see your argument. Albon behind Lawson. Yeah, I think Albon is behind Lawson. Oh, I mean Alonso behind Lawson. It's not like a particular order here. Ocon C? No, Ocon is bad. Ocon is one of those assets that you just should sell this week because there's so many good cheap options that you should have instead. I don't think you should have Ocon. Colapinto to B? Disagree. Any asset that's 4.5 million is going to be A tier because they're just on every team. Bortoleto also should be B tier. Both have very little chance to increase, but they can't decrease. So I think all 4.5 million assets are inherently A tier just because they can't decrease in price. I will today say though, watching FP3, according to this Scott, Hamilton looks like he's getting a hang of the way that the Ferrari brakes. 4.5 million, which can't decrease, is B tier. I see your point, but I still disagree. I think the 4.5 million holds so much value for that. So could you do this with teams too? I think that the teams are too like semi-obvious because the thing is like, oh, is Red Bull or Ferrari better? But like Red Bull and Ferrari are like equal this week for me in terms of like points. So I would put both of them in the same tier. McLaren's still obviously the only S tier. V-Carb is good, Williams is good, Kick Sauber is not awful, and the rest are bad. So I don't usually do it for the teams because I think there's kind of self-explanatory. Hamlet Gearbox is in FP3, yeah. Team logs in an hour, yeah. It's an hour to go. right? I'm not messing that up, am I? No, we have an hour. Alonso Giga F because he's the unluckiest in the world. That I can get behind, Brickwall. That I can get behind. Alright. Hulk to see in my mind, says Christian on Twitch. I just don't see him gaining or scoring well. I can get behind it. I think that's a really good point, actually. I think Hulk is probably C tier. Like, he's not... If you have him, you don't have to sell him. But, like, he could increase in price if he has a monster week. But I can get behind Hulk in C tier. Good suggestion over on the Twitch side of things. Alright, we're doing team submissions in 4 minutes. Do you prefer Bortoleto or Colapinto? I prefer Colapinto. In order of the 4.5 millions, I prefer Alonso, then Colapinto, then Bortoleto. Alonso, Colapinto, Bortoleto is in the order. And specifically because of Spain, because like if Alonso, you know, somehow puts it P7, he could also be one to get driver of the day. Worth a -10 to get rid of Tsunoda, Stroll, and Mercedes? Yes, I would say so, Graham, for sure. Just lock my team at don't trust Alonso's cursed season. It depends on how superstitious you are, I suppose. But the stats say he should be getting one back pretty soon. Alright, it's team submissions time any second. Alright. Where's Lawson in your sub 5 mil rating for a VCARB team? Lawson's good. Oh, I don't really understand what you mean. Science plus Lawson looks interesting. Yeah, but like, you know. So, Sankalp, these long comments, that's what we do team submissions on Discord, so I can look at them properly. So leave your team on Discord. It's probably too late for this one. The one way to guarantee I will look at your entire team and give you team submissions, and look at your team submission specifically, is to become a member of the stream. You can do so by paying $2, I think, and then link your YouTube account to your Twitch. No, your YouTube account to your Discord account, and you will get access to the member exclusive channel on Discord. And we'll look at that right now. So, members team submissions we have right here. Fraser, our member, has kindly submitted this, and that is the first one we'll look at. So members get priority for this because obviously have to give them something, right, for being supporters of the channel. And if you want to become a member, you can guarantee that you get your team reviewed on these team submissions portion of the stream, which we will be getting into right now. We will spend some extra time on the team submissions today because a lot of things are going on. I'm giving it at most though 25 minutes because after that I have to look at my team because I still don't know what to do with my team, and I haven't made a decision yet if I'm going for the which variant I'm going for. Because of the simulations, I'm leaning slightly more Ferrari, though. But we'll look at this. All right, Fraser has a Kick Sauber team. Very, very interesting. What I'm looking at changing. Getting VCARB in, getting Sainz in, getting Alonso in for a -10. This is getting rid of Albon and Hulkenberg. You have another option here for a -20. Whew. Getting Norris, Hadjar, Lawson, and a VCARB in there. Already rocking the Verstappen team is very, very interesting. I assume you have to take the -10 here to afford this, to get Kick up to VCARB, and have, you go down to Alonso and then Albon and Sainz. So I'm assuming you have to go for this -10. Otherwise, I would say, like, just keep Albon or Hulkenberg. Obviously, you have to downgrade Albon to do the upgrade of Kick to VCARB. But I think the upgrade of to VCARB is decent here. I don't think I would do a -20 for this. I don't think McLaren are that dominant. And, like, if you do this and Verstappen gets P2 over Norris, you're going to kick yourself. So I prefer doing what you did up here. It's not my favorite -10 in the world, but I do see why you kind of have to make it. So, yep. Top of the hour indeed. Is this a good weekend for no negative? No, it's not, Connor. I agree. Oh, adjust the screen. I am so bad. Okay. Unlucky. Sorry. There we go. I apologize. I forgot. I forgot that I changed it for the thing. Sorry. That's my bad. That's my bad. That's my bad. Alright. Back to the things. Thank you for... Alright. You guys have to let me know because I can't see my stream at all times because I'm looking at things. So thank you for spamming. Be sure to always do that. Also, if like for some reason the music is super loud, tell me as well, right? All good, could see enough. All right, cheers. All right, so yeah, I do prefer the top one to the bottom one, Fraser. And in terms of the options you've bought in, I think they're good, right? I think it's the best you can do with the situation. If you have enough budget to keep Hulk over Alonso, I would maybe do that and just not take the -10 and then just do Alonso next week. But it's really up to you. I don't think a point set is worth like an extra 0.2 or whatever million Hulkenberg is going to drop in. Alright, let's look at team submissions. I'm going to quickly check on what start of submissions. We have Abhijit, legend of the stream, for giving me a fantastic option. I can't even remember what it was, but Abhijit is like the one guy that I remember giving me a killer submission in terms of a team that I hadn't even considered that I ended up going for. Alright, Abhijit, 114 budget. Think about going total differential, i.e. Norris plus Red Bull Racing. Ooh, spicy. I love it. That is awesome. How you can even afford that is mental. Driver that can hit Sainz and Alonso are here having the home race. Are you wildcarding? How can you make all these moves? Is this? I'm assuming this is a wildcard team. This looks insane. This team looks really good. I like everything about this team. Literally everything. There's nothing I dislike about this team. It obviously depends on how many points hits you're taking to get there. But if you're wildcarding into this, I think it's a killer team. And I think it could really pay off. Because, like, while I'm talking about, you know, maybe doing differential. While I'm talking about being maybe differential with, like, Verstappen. Like, if Norris just comes out and wins again. Boy, no one has Norris in the top 500. Killer team. I really like this. Again, obviously it depends on like what your team was before and if you could make like 2 good moves that, you know, if you want to keep the wild card. But I don't see a point in keeping the wild card. I think wild card you can be a bit loosey-goosey with. Alright, we have then Jonah Doe says, thinking about using my wild card to run this team. Is it worth it? Verstappen, Hajar, Sainz, Lawson, Colapinto, McLaren, and Ferrari. I thought, I mean, this looked really good to me like yesterday when I did my final thoughts video, but after FP3, McLaren just looks so dominant, dude. It's kind of disgusting. I don't think this is bad, but if you're wildcarding out of Piastri and Piastri wins, that's gonna suck. So it depends again how many transfers you're making. Me not knowing what your team was beforehand makes it a bit difficult to judge. I don't think this team is bad. I think this team looks really good, in fact. But it depends on what your team was beforehand, if the wildcard is worth it. I like McLaren, I like Ferrari, I like Sainz, I like Lawson, I like Hajar, I like Colapinto. I think if you're wildcarding, I would go for Alonso over Colapinto. Just because of maybe home race, driver today shenanigans. But other than that, if you're wildcarding, I think this is a reasonable team to take. Obviously, there is the risk going with Max Verstappen over Piastri, but it's a calculated one you have to take. Coming from a Limitless, what is the plan? I think this is really interesting because a lot of people like myself were on Limitless last week. So we're coming out from the Limitless not knowing really what to do. You have the advantage of having a lot of budget here. I think in the instance you... Okay, so I'm talking to everyone here who has a team with McLaren Williams that have just come out of Limitless. And, you know, you have something like this where you have a lot of budget in the bank. You have such an easy move this week. You sell Williams to Ferrari or Red Bull, probably Ferrari, and you downgrade Albon to whatever you need to afford that move. Whether that's Alonso, or Hajar, or Lawson, whatever, right? If you can afford it by just downgrading Albon to, I don't know, Sainz, that's also good. But I think if your team looks very much like this, where you have a lot of budget in the bank after limitlessing, and you had Williams in there for the budget gains, right? I would probably go for Ferrari just because of the simulations favoring Ferrari so much over Red Bull. But you could also go for Red Bull. I think Red Bull is also decent. Again, you could also do the V-Carb play here, but I think it's better to go for the two premium constructors. I should stick by my philosophy, right? I was the guy last year trying to make cheap constructors work, and they just never did. I think I'm moving more and more away from the V-Carb plan. Although I like the V-Carb plan, I think I'm moving more and more away from it, and probably just going for Ferrari. It's unfortunate, but like that's just how it is. This game works like that. Here we go. We have some fun stuff. 111.3 mil budget, says Solsay. Gasly has to go. Yes, you have all your chips. Interesting. Gasly has to go. Mercedes has to go. And you have 3 free transfers, which is cool. Obviously, what's it called? Wildcard is on the table if you have all your transfers. But I think you with three free transfers. God, speaking is difficult sometimes. I think you could do something cool with this team. I think Gasly and Mercedes obviously has to go. I think Hadjar has to come in for Gasly, right? So you do Hadjar in for Gasly, you do Mercedes out, and then you do like Albon out, and you keep Leclerc. So if you, I'm assuming you're doing this. Maybe, oh yeah, because you had Leclerc last week, and you maybe don't want Leclerc this week. If you want to keep Leclerc because you're a Ferrari fan, I respect it. I'm a Ferrari fan, and you can totally do that. If you want to use your wildcard at any point, this might be the time to do it. Get rid of Leclerc for either Piastri, Norris, or Verstappen. Get rid of Gasly, get rid of Albon, get rid of Mercedes, get rid of Bortoleto, right? You could do like 5 good moves with this team. The only 2, if you're wildcarding, the only 2 I would keep here are Colapinto and McLaren. So I definitely think you could benefit a lot from using a wildcard this week. Bortoleto obviously goes out for Alonso. You do Ferrari probably for Mercedes. And you probably do... if you can afford Norris, you probably do Norris to be differential. Or you do Piastri like everyone else, which is, you know, boring, but whatever. And then Hadjar obviously has to be there. And then you have one more slot to play with, depending on, you know, what kind of moves you made elsewhere. That could be a Sainz, it could be a Lawson, kind of whatever. But I think this team is cool, and I can see why you had this team last week. I think this is a really interesting question from Wilson. Is it worth taking -10 for Colapinto or Bortoleto to Lawson? No. It's. I always say that it's almost never worth it to take a -10 to transfer out a cheap asset to another cheap asset. The only time where it's worth it is because sometimes you have to do that to downgrade something to upgrade somewhere else. But you're not downgrading something. You're upgrading one of your 4.5 millions to one. I wouldn't even. And like, Hadjar is clearly the best cheap asset this week. I would not take a -10 to upgrade Bortoleto to Hadjar. I wouldn't. It's not worth 10 points. It just isn't. You can get Hadjar next week. It's fine. You can get Lawson next week. It's fine. You might lose 0.2 million budget. Who cares? 0.6 million budget. Even that's fine. It's not worth 10 points. Lawson or Alonso? I think it's really close. Alright, moving on. Calandori. Calandorian's Conundrums. Always love these. This is how you submit. This is how you submit, guys. If you want to be like Calandori and make a proper thing like this, I always enjoy it. Current 2 transfers. You have my team, right? Same team as me. You have triple McLaren options for -10. You have... Yeah. Yeah, Calandori, so you're on a similar track to me, right? I wouldn't pop the autopilot here if you do the Racing Bulls team. And if you do this team where you have 9.5 million in the bank, I would do Ferrari over Red Bull Racing just because of what the simulations say. But other than that, you're literally in the same boat as me. So I'm not gonna spend too much time on this. And if anyone else's team looks similar, Just wait in like 5 or 10 minutes when I do my own team, and you'll see what I prefer. But thank you so much for the submission. We have again. Normally, I don't. I can't go through every single submission. There's too many of them, and this looks very similar to a lot of other teams. You already have Ferrari, which is fantastic. Great for you. Keep it. You just do Gasly. Sell Gasly to whatever. It could be Lawson. It could be Sainz. It could be Alonso. In your case, since you already have Ferrari, I would maybe consider saving a transfer, right? You could also do Bortoletti to Alonso if you want to. And I agree with what you're saying here. The only one you must sell is Gasly. So you're in a position where you can save 3 transfers for Canada. And you see like how valuable transfers are. Every week things change now with how the budget is played and all of that stuff. If you could find an opportunity where you pretty safely can get one of the best possible teams according to the simulations and save a transfer for next week, you should jump on that, man. I think we're kind of underestimating how valuable an extra transfer is in some of these weeks. And let's look at like a 114 budget here, right? The best team for points at this budget, according to F1 Fantasy Tools, is something like this, right? McLaren, Ferrari, Piastri, Hadjar, Lawson, Albon, and Colapinto. You have McLaren, Ferrari, Piastri on this team. So just keep that. You have Hadjar. Make one transfer call today. That's what I would do. Straw's got to go. Yup, says Celtic. We have a bunch of different options here. Don't like the Williams one. I would prefer the V-Carb one. I see that immediately. And then you have Red Bull Racing versus Ferrari stuff down here, which we've discussed a ton. So I will leave yours out for this time, Celtic. I hope that's okay. Didn't have a great week last week. That's unfortunate. What should I do? I still have my wild card. I think this is a very wild cardable team. I assume you have 2 free transfers, right? I mean, you have to sell Tsunoda. You kind of want to sell Hulkenberg. You kind of want to sell Albon. And you kind of want to sell Williams too. If you have wildcard, that's 4 moves you would make. And then like Bortoleto, you also kind of want to sell to Colapinto or Alonso, right? I think this is a slam dunk wildcard. If you have 5 assets in your team that you kind of want to sell, just pop the wildcard. And you have a lot of options to go with. I assume your budget is pretty good because you've been playing Williams here as well. We'll do another few minutes of team submissions. One of us has a no in the poll by support Ferrari, so cancel out. Yes. Why do you prefer Sainz over Lawson? Home race. Literally the only reason. And I mean, it's not like Lawson has been amazing this year, apart from last race. So I feel like Lawson's kind of crash prone. So that's why I prefer Sainz. We've seen enough driver of the days this year go to weird drivers. I would not be surprised if Carlos Sainz and P6 got driver of the day. Does anyone know if you save both transfers? You cannot. You can at most you can have 3 free transfers in a week. So if you have 3 currently, you can use 2 of them and save 1, and you can only move over 1 till the next week. Lewis 5-place grid penalty. Am I getting trolled or is this actually happening? We are checking. 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 FIA document spot. My beloved. I see nothing confirmed yet. I would like to know where these rumors are or if I'm just getting trolled. No FIA documents yet. So what's the... I've not seen anyone mention this before, but 2 people said it at the same time. I feel like that's too elaborate to probably troll me. I'm good, Obita. Thank you so much for asking. Oh, right to mention it in Sim Chat. Thank you. Oh, there's a separate. That's what we meant by. There's another sim for it. Hamilton penalty. Does that change anything though? I don't. I think it upped Ferrari's points even further, right? Yes, that made the Ferrari. Mainly, it made the Ferrari constructor better. Potential first gearbox change. I think if and big if Hamilton's a 5-place grid penalty, worth it. I don't think it necessarily makes Hamilton worth it, but I think it makes Ferrari even better. Yes, the simulations do show an uptick in points potential for Ferrari. All right, I think that obviously we need to wait and see if anything comes out about that. If Hamilton does get a grid penalty, if that happens, I will do the Ferrari team. If that happens, this will be my team, and then I just have to decide if I'm going for Sainz or Lawson. I think I have been hyping up Sainz all week, even though I know that Williams look meh. I've been hyping it up so much like this week that I feel like it would be criminal for me to not go for it. Will you do more team submissions? Probably. Ferrari becomes better with a penalty, D. That's how F1 Fantasy works, because there's more potential for overtakes and positions gained for Hamilton. So Ferrari becomes better if they have a 5-place grid penalty in F1 Fantasy. Do constructor overtakes count for points? Yes, for some reason. Nothing yet, Christian. But there is a separate simulation out in case Hamilton gets a 5-place grid penalty for a potential gearbox change. Should I take Alonso over Colapinto if it means no. You haven't been listening. You never take a -10, Mongo, for cheap assets. Never. Very few exceptions, but that is not one of them. Sainz isn't efficient in points per million. I kind of disagree. If he gets driver of the day and gets 14 points, that seems very efficient for points per million. What's your thought on saving free transfer versus Colapinto to Hulk? I wouldn't do Colapinto to Hulk. Do you mean Hulk to Colapinto? If you mean the opposite way around, then I would probably just do Hulk to Colapinto. Otherwise, I would save it. You would probably end up with Ferrari and Sainz over Lawson due to potential driver of the day. Exactly, yeah. And so even this, look, so for my team 1 with 112.3 million budget, the preferred transfer on F1 Fantasy Tools is to get Ferrari and Sainz in. Like, straight up. -10 for Sainz? No. If you take a -10 for Sainz, that just negates the 10 points he might get for a potential driver of the day. So you don't do that. How likely do you think Sainz will get driver of the day? Rise of Sims, did he give him a high percentage? If you had told me that Yuki Tsunoda from P12 would have gotten, like, in Japan, I don't trust driver of the day anymore. I think it's very hard to simulate driver of the day accurately, because so much has to do just with vibes. But I think Sainz is, home races is such a good opportunity, because like people are looking extra. You have to kind of go into the like psychology of how people vote. When people sit there and watch a race, right? In a random race, Oliver Bearman went from P20 to P9 or whatever. He didn't get driver of the day. Why? Because people weren't actively looking at Oliver Bearman, who started P20. So when it was time to vote, they didn't vote for Bearman, even though he, like, by far deserved it more than any other on that grid. That race. I can't even remember which race it was. It was early in the season. Bearman should have 100% had driver of the day, but he didn't get it. when a driver is on their home race, it doesn't really matter where they start on the grid. People pay attention to them. So if Sainz just has a good race, gets featured on the broadcast, does a couple of overtakes, gets a point scoring finish, he will be in people's minds and they will vote for him. Especially if McLarens are super fast and they just run away with a victory and they don't even show who's first and second because there's a 10-second gap to the next fastest car. Right? And they're forced to show the midfield fight, fighting for those, P5, kind of points. I do think, again, if Hamilton gets a penalty and he starts further back, say Hamilton starts like P10 or P11, something like that, and he's one they show on the broadcast overtaking a bunch of times in that Ferrari, also driver of the day potential. Just because it's shown on the broadcast, he will be in people's memories. The commentators will say, Hamilton started with a 5-place grid penalty and he's back up to P4. That's driver of the day potential. So that is why automatically, when it's a driver's home race, you have to consider him for the driver of the day, just because of like how the even if he, like, Yuki Tsunoda got P12 in Japan and he got driver of the day, right? And I think I'm pretty sure that's 100% casual viewers, probably Japanese viewers, voting for him, because maybe these casual viewers don't watch every race like us maniacs do. And they watch when it's in their country, and they see their driver that they love, that they watch at home once a year, and they vote for him because he had a above average race, right? And they show up in Moss. Wasn't Red Bull the best option? What did I miss? Yeah, simulations happened. Alonso's the same, Christian. Yeah, I've spoken about Alonso as well. I think Alonso, especially after the bad season that Alonso says, imagine the same, right? They show Alonso on the stream. I'm gonna, lower the hype of the music slightly because this one's getting a bit much, right? Let's put the grid on. We can only have freelancers so much. We go back to the grid. With Alonso, he's had the unlucky start to the season. They show him do 2 overtakes. He finishes P8 on his home race. That's driver of the day. The Tsunoda wasn't that more him outperforming Lawson by a lot in the same car. Was he even outperforming Lawson a lot in the same car? He had a bad race in Japan, I'll say it. Sure, it was his first time in a Red Bull, but it wasn't like... Obviously, Lawson was lost, but like Yuki Tsunoda was still among the backfield. Lawson was lost all the time, which was twice. It wasn't all the time, it was twice. Which is all the time, I know, but I'm not even a Lawson defender. I just, Lawson has more, in my opinion, also has more chances than Sainz to drive today, even if Sainz has a good percentage. You could be correct. You could be correct. But at least that's where it's like Sainz can increase in price if he gets driver of the day. Like if Alonso gets driver of the day, he doesn't increase in price. We're taking Behrman over Bortoleto Colapinto. Yes, but not for a -10. Only if you have an extra transfer for it. Am I just moving to Ferrari, guys? I think I'm just moving to Ferrari. Oh, you guys have to spam me when FIA documents post the penalty for Hamilton if they do take one. I haven't seen anything yet. Nothing yet, nothing yet, nothing yet. I'll try and keep an eye out on it as well. What am I doing? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Shaq on Twitch says Lawson or Alonso. I probably prefer Alonso. It's super close to call. Maybe Lawson slightly. Because Lawson can at least increase in price. Yeah, I probably prefer Lawson slightly over Alonso. Sainz or Lawson? That's the close one, Mats. That's the super close one. And the answer is I don't know. I think I prefer Signs slightly, but I could be wrong. Chat doesn't seem to agree with me when we did the votes. A super chat from Willie. Thank you so much. I prefer Lawson over Signs for final fix potential. You do have a point there. Let me consider that for a second while we bask in the glory of that super chat. Thank you so much. Always appreciated. In the instance where I do Signs, I cannot final fix Piastri to Verstappen if I want to. Now, with Lawson in here, I could final fix either Norris or Verstappen. So you are correct that is definitely something I should consider. How likely am I to use final fix here from Piastri? In what instances am I final fixing Piastri out? It's either if Lando or Max goes out in Q1 and Piastri is not on pole. Maybe not even P2, like P3 or below, and Lando or Max goes out in Q1. Or if Piastri is like P5 or P6, and Max or Lando is on pole. Or do nothing and carry a 3 transfer for Canada? I can't do that. I have to sell Albon Moto to afford upgrading Mercedes. Otherwise, I can just get Red Bull Racing. So I have to sell Albon anyway. Lawson or Sainz for budget gain? For budget gain, it's probably Lawson. For points and potential budget, I mean, you know, I've talked about this a ton, but Lawson needs an 8-pointer to increase in price, 0.6 million. Sainz is not going to increase 0.6 million. He needs 18 points. That's, like, very unlikely. I think, I mean, this is just the Ferrari potential penalty waiting room. I do think I'm trying to think. Sorry, I'm blanking in my mind. I think Merc will perform, so I'm keeping. I heavily disagree. But welcome to the stream, guys. Welcome to the stream. I think the problem with Mercedes is that they're dropping in price. In fact, this is a good segue because it is Hoff. All right. I know we've been listening to hype music for some time, but we're going back to it. I'm gonna up the music slightly. Obviously, we haven't hit the donation goal, but that's okay. Yes, please like the stream all. It is 30 minutes until the deadline. I still have not decided exactly what I'm doing with my team, but I know what tip of the week is. So, give me your tip of the week predictions in chats. Okay? Tip of the week predictions. Let's go. Let's go. We're standing up for this. Oh! Do some stretching. Warm up the fingers. Now, to show this tip of the week, we need to go back to last week. Because last week something happened. Let's look at the Monaco deadline stream from last week, okay? Alright, well, of course, we get an ad on my own channel. I don't know why YouTube does that. Just let me watch my own content for free, pretty please. Ugh. I should have prepped this before. That's on me. That's on me. That's on me. Okay. Okay. So here we go. Last week, the tip of the week was sell Merc. Thank you so much for the super chat, Fraser. Always appreciated. Lando bins into. That is a tip of the week. Lando bins into Gravel Q3. Good call outs. Not tip of the week though. I'm about to do something unprecedented in this stream's history. Something that's never happened before. Tip of the week is going to be the same as last week. Because it still applies! Rain. I've never done this before. But it is tip of the week. Because goddamn you have to sell Mercedes. They look awful. Number 1. Tip of the week. Sell Mercedes. Okay, I don't know what that was. That was too violent. I need to calm down. There you go. That's tip of the week. That's it. All in one freelancer's time. Perfectly timed once again. Boring. It's not boring. It's the first time I've ever had the same tip of the week. But it still applies because people used Limitless last week. So people still have Mercedes. And the tip is you have to get rid of them. It's that simple. It's not boring if it's the first time ever this has happened in the stream's history. It's just facts, man. It's just facts. I think this is a more fun tip of the week than by Hajar. Alright. I can give a second one. We've done F1 prediction. We did that at the start of the stream. So if you want to see my F1 predictions, go to literally when the stream started, and we did them immediately. And I will be continuing to do that, by the way, in the future. I feel like that's the best place in the stream to do it, because once we get into the discussion of F1 fantasy, I don't really want to stop. All right. Rain Fantasy First. A repeat tip of the week. Never done before. Never seen before. Alright, can we get some news about this stupid gearbox? It doesn't look like it's happening, does it? I'm just gonna assume that it's not happening. Alright. I think I've decided that I'm going Ferrari here. I'm not going Red Bull Racing, I'm not going Max Verstappen. I think I've decided I'm going Ferrari. The simulations look too good for it. The question then becomes Sainz, Lawson, or Alonso. Sainz, Lawson, or Alonso. Let's do pros and cons with each of them. Because I think that's the actual question here. For me, at least. So. Sainz. Pros, home race. Driver of the day potential. He can increase in price. Especially if he scores a driver of the day. He could even potentially gain 0.6. He's in a Williams, which the Williams doesn't look amazing so far around this circuit, but it's still a Williams that has been in the points every race so far this season. So points potential are good, probably the best out of this lot, if I'm honest. Driver of the day potential, price increase potential. I feel like Sainz is sort of the middle ground. He's the top for points prediction, you know, how many points he can get. Middle of the ground on budget and driver of the day, right? The problem with Sainz, the biggest downside to Sainz, is that Sainz does not leave me money in the bank for a final fix. to Verstappen or Norris if Piastri underperforms or if Lando bins it into the gravel in Q1. You know? That is the biggest downside to Sainz. And I will shout out to, I think it was Willie, right? That pointed that out to me. Because while I had like considered it in the back of my mind, it wasn't in the forefront of my mind, and it should have been. Yeah, Willie Aggie said that Lawson resigns for final fix potential. I do think that is important. Lawson. Now, pros with Lawson, final fixable. And budget. Looks most likely to increase in price out of these two. He has no driver of the day potential, in my opinion. He's a very unpopular driver, unfortunately for him. So that's not even on the cards for him. Points potential, I do think he's the lowest as well. Out of these three. Maybe the V-Carb can show up something. But just because of the driver of the day potential of the other two, I do think his points potential is the lowest of the three. But obviously those budget gains are very valuable. And then we have Alonso. Similar with Sainz on the driver of the day thing. Instead of, you know, opposite Sainz, with Alonso I can final fix to anything I want. So it's almost like Alonso is Sainz, but I can final fix. The problem with Alonso is that his point potential is not as high because he's not in a Williams. He's had a really bad season so far, and maybe that luck will continue, or that bad luck rather will continue. And also he cannot increase in price even if he gets driver of the day. So I do think Alonso's out. I don't think I'm going Alonso. I can always go to Alonso later. So I need you guys to shoot this at me, right? On 3, again, I need you to spam the chat. Sainz or Lawson. That's it. Nothing else. On 3, not yet. Not yet. Not yet. On 3. Okay? Three, 2, 1, go. Sainz or Lawson. Go, 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 go. That is not easy to understand at all. While I try and make sense of what I just saw in chat, please make sure to like the stream. What were we at? 400 concurrent viewers currently. We're on 292 likes. We need 8 likes. 8 of you are sitting there and you haven't liked the stream yet. Please make sure you do so. Let's get it to 300 right now. We have 20 minutes until the deadline. Lots to consider. It looks very even. Yeah, better making a poll. Alright, I will, if we hit 300 likes, let's, okay, I think we hit it. Yep. 312. Alright, thank you so much. Okay, let's actually make a poll. Let's actually make a poll. I just enjoy seeing the chat go by fast, okay? Poll, proper poll time. This is very, very close. Start a poll. Why can I not, oh, I need to end this poll, of course. Of course. Let me make sure that I'm not messing this up. Oh, I am messing this up. Something like that, yeah. Alright, start a poll. Alonso or... Oh, no, not Alonso. Sainz or Lawson. I'm not promising I'll do what you guys say, but I do want to see what the consensus is in chat. We have done F1 predictions already. I did it at the start of the stream. So you can go back to the beginning of the stream almost immediately. We did the F1 predictions. Alright, let's get those votes in. And while we do that, I'm gonna double check. I think I've done my transfers on all my other teams, yeah? Let me double check that while we get the votes in for that. F1 Fantasy. Let's see here. Gotta check the competitive team as well, guys, right? Oh, no. Don't tell me the website's down. Hello? Oh, there we go. I can log in now. Thank Christ. I was about to panic. 19 minutes to the deadline. Get some final questions, like shorter questions in the chat as well, while we figure out this thing. Alright. Yes, we have. Alright, yeah. Alright, we have. I have made my transfers on the other teams. Oh no, I haven't made it here. Okay. Almost done here. All right. So let me look at the poll. Sorry, guys, that took a little bit. Of course, it's super even. Here, I'm gonna actually tell you why I'm gonna do what you guys suggested. So, if you've been following the stream for a while, you will know that I had a terrible Australian Grand Prix fantasy-wise. Like, really bad. And after that, because my budget was so bad on all my teams, I made a new account. That account has gone really, really well. I've almost no DNFs on it. It's in the top 10k, even though it didn't even get any points. It wasn't even created in Australia, which shows that it's never too late to start a fantasy account. Here is that account, and this is obviously for funds. You know, I'm not expecting to win anything here. On this team, I'm doing Sainz because I have so much budget on this team that I can already upgrade Piastri to Verstappen at least. Not Norris, but Verstappen at least on the final fix. So to make sure I don't have the same team on my two competitive teams, I'm going to do Lawson on my other team. So I have decided in this moment that I will be doing Liam Lawson over Carlos Sainz to differentiate my two most competitive teams slightly. And that is actually the main reason, because I do think it is a 50-50 decision, as chat literally just showed, right? Can you prefer Ferrari Red Bull? Yes. Can you explain when final fix Piastri is applicable? Yes. Final fixing Piastri is applicable in two instances. One, a driver that you think is really fast goes out in Q1. I would say this is either, and it goes out in Q1, and Piastri is not on pole, not on the front row, I would say. If Piastri was second, I would still struggle to final fix him out. So say Piastri is third or lower, and say either Leclerc, Hamilton, Verstappen, or Norris went out in Q1. I think that's a really good opportunity on this track where overtaking is quite simple, or, you know, overtakes are available. On a good overtake track, final fix is really good for a fast driver starting far back. That's one. But that's only good, obviously, if Piastri's on pole. I would, you know, say, you know, Hamilton crashes in qualifying and it starts P20, and Piastri's on pole, I wouldn't final fix Piastri to Hamilton. I wouldn't.
It's if Piastri is third or lower, still in Q1, obviously, because if Piastri's like P12, that's really, really good because he can get a lot of overtakes from that position. So let's actually rephrase it. Piastri's like P3 to P6, maybe? P3 to P5? Yeah, P3, let's say P3 to P6. P7, maybe. Somewhere in that range. And, like, Norris goes out in Q1. And you want Norris then. That's one instance. The other one is if, similarly, Piastri's like P5 on the grid, and Norris or Verstappen is starting on pole, and you want them instead. I think those are the two instances where... on those two instances is when you would final fix Piastri out. For someone who doesn't have two accounts or care about multiple teams, Sainz or Hadjar. Hadjar. Hadjar is by far the best one this week. For sure. I think Lawson and Sainz is way, 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 way closer. But Hadjar is miles above both of them. So that's a simple answer, Nyan. Bortoleto or Alonso? I prefer Alonso. Oh, you meant Lawson. Okay. I slightly prefer Sainz. Just because I don't trust Lawson. I slightly prefer Sainz. But I'm doing Lawson on this team because I'm already locking in doing Sainz on the other one. So I slightly prefer Sainz. I don't think, like, the final fix... How likely is it that Lando goes out in Q1, right? How likely is it that Piastri is not P1, 2, or maybe 3, right? So I prefer Sainz by a slim margin to Lawson. But for me, I'm differentiating my strategies. Conda for Ferrari's constructor, should I do Red Bull instead or stick with Mercedes? Yeah, you should do Red Bull instead. I think Red Bull constructor is completely fine. Like, Red Bull constructor is still good, for sure. You just have to sell Mercedes. That's tip of the week. Most important thing, sell Mercedes. Lawson or Sainz? Yeah, Lawson or Sainz. I slightly prefer Sainz, but it's very, very close, and I think Lawson is also a really good option. I'm going for Lawson, even though I slightly prefer Sainz, just because I'm differentiating my strategies over my two teams, and my richer team is using Sainz because I can final fix on both of them. Alright, Bortoleto or Hulkenberg? I prefer Bortoleto, just because he can't decrease in price. Lawson or Alonso? I prefer Lawson, slightly. Lawson, Behrman or Alonso? I prefer Lawson here. I think Behrman's decent, don't get me wrong. A bit differential as well, but yep. Fernando over Sainz? No, I would do Lawson or Sainz over Alonso. Alright. So, we have another 11 minutes till the deadline, guys. 11 minutes. If you haven't locked in your team, you better think about doing it soon. Just go with your gut. Yeah, that's also good. What about Sainz and Lawson both? I think that's really good if you can, like, if you can get it. The thing with me is, like, obviously here I could go for Bortoleto up to Sainz, but I wouldn't do a -10 for it. And I had to sell Albon, so I've already done my 2 transfers. If I had infinite transfers, like, my team would look. I think if I had a wildcard this week, my favorite wildcard team, obviously depending on what budget you're at, right? My favorite wildcard team is this. This is my favorite wildcard team, I think. Worth taking out Albon for Sainz? Yeah, I think it is. I think Sainz is a better option than Albon this week for driver day potential, budget potential. Wildcard worth this week or save? I think wildcard is really good this week. I think this is one of the better wildcard weeks I've seen in a long time. I think a lot of people are considering it, and I've used wildcard on one of my teams. So I think wildcard is really good this week. A lot of things need changing, especially if you limitless last week and you still have Mercedes, you still have Gasly, you have Hulkenberg, you have Stroll. What do you think about Norris differential? I think Norris differential is really good. I'm also I think, like, something like this is also a really good limitless. I think this is also a really good limitless if you want to go for it. Yuki has to be sold. Yeah, Yuki must be sold. Ferrari hold 100%. Ferrari's a buy this week, Stainsvog. Ferrari's a buy this week. They look really good for points. The simulations really prefer them over Red Bull by like quite a significant margin, actually. I think the simulations are really starting to take into account fastest pit stop points, and that's really is really beginning to show. All right, so as we get closer to the deadline, I'm going to lock in my team. I'm doing Red Bull on this side because I can't, you know, gotta be differential, right? This team is, you just ignore it, doesn't exist. I'm doing Lawson and Ferrari in 8 minutes to go. This is probably the latest I've locked my team in a long time. If I had more transfers, I would do like Bortoleto to Sainz, but you know, you live and you learn. We're doing this. There we go. Transfers made. Team locked. Let's get a screenshot of this. And while I post this final team onto Twitter and other social media websites, which you can follow, link in the description, I will be watching qualifying with you guys live. However, it will not be on YouTube, as always. The reason for this is, you know, there's a lot of reasons for this, but basically, the YouTube algorithm doesn't like when a bunch of people leave the stream, which I understand you guys want to go and watch qualifying. I'm not offended by it. But normally we have like 50, 60 people left watching the qualifying, and we're making predictions, we're pointing, laughing when someone crashes. No, we don't do that. But you get what I mean. We're having fun in this chat watching the qualifying together. However, YouTube hates it. The YouTube algorithm absolutely kills the channel. And since I stopped doing watch-alongs, I've seen a analytical uptick in my data on my live streams. Like, YouTube pushes my live streams to way more people than it did before because I don't do watch-alongs anymore on YouTube. But I want to continue doing the watch-alongs, and the way we're solving that is by doing them on Twitch. So, top of the description, or near the top of the description, is my Twitch channel. I am live there currently. I've been live on Twitch this entire time. So if you want to watch it with us, and we want to watch the qualifying with me and see my reaction to the qualifying, do it on the thing. Abhijit says, what did you use to take a specific screenshot? It is Gyatso, is what it's called. You can take, GIFs, and you can do like short 30-second, 1 minute long clips, and also just screenshots. It's a thing, and then it shows up in a separate tab, and then I can just copy paste it from there. That's my favorite way to do it. It doesn't bog up my computer memory. It's stored online. I just use the free version. I don't need to have it in like high quality or anything like that. So it's just Gyatso. I think it's a decent little free tool on the internet. So yeah, if you want to watch the qualifying with me, make sure to join me over on Twitch. You can pop over there already. I'm gonna be live on YouTube for another 6-7 more minutes before I end the YouTube version of the stream. But I do have to end it, unfortunately. That's just like that. I gotta play the algorithm game. I'm sorry, right? But yeah, a lot of things to consider today. This was not the team I had in mind when I started the stream. I will tell you that much. Simulations and you guys have sort of swayed me. In fact, it was just like this was my option 2 on this, but in truth, I was more leaning towards Red Bull Racing before the simulations. The simulations switched to Ferrari for me, for sure. That the simulations persuaded me to go for Ferrari, and also the fact that McLaren were so dominant in FP3. If it was closer in FP3, I might have, I would have been more swayed to go for Max Verstappen because I think Max Verstappen is so good right now. But because it looks like McLaren are going to continue to dominate, I was more inclined to go for Ferrari. Any last word for someone considering VCARB? Good luck. But yeah, make sure to join me over on Twitch. I'm going to tweet out my team lock. Team locked. I will take final questions as well, so if you have any final questions, post them in chat. We have 5 minutes until the deadline. But I've answered pretty much most things that I wanted to talk about today, so that's good at least. 5 more minutes till deadline, guys.
This is my team. My team is locked for the week. I have a bunch of money in the bank in case I want a final fix. Ferrari plus Lawson. So team locked. Mercedes plus Albon to Ferrari plus Lawson. I'm just gonna tag F1 Fantasy Tools, I think. At F1 Fantasy Tools simulations. Convinced me of the Ferrari pick over Red Bull. Lawson over Sainz for budget and final fix reasons. Good luck all. Still live on Twitch for the Wally watch along. Spanish GP quali watch along. Cheeky little hashtag F1 Fantasy, and then let's link the stream. Hello everyone on Twitch, 27 people. I think we'll get a few more once the YouTube stream ends. Welcome, welcome on the Twitch side. Don't have anything set up here in terms of stuff, right, on Twitch, because obviously this is only the second time ever I'm doing it. But once we get this Twitch, set up and going a bit, more things will pop up. Emotes, subscriptions, and all of that jazz will be fixed in due time. Oh, that's not what I want to do. Let's take another screenshot of this because I've boomed it. There we go. Yeah, I am really bad at multitasking, guys, as you can tell, so that's why I have to almost be quiet while I'm typing this out. There we go. Post it. Let's pin that. Post it on Blue Sky. There we go. And now, if you guys are still in the YouTube chats, make sure to go and just interact with this. And I'll post it on Twitch as well. There you go. All right. Team locked. 1 minute till the deadline. Thank you so much for the deadline stream on the YouTube side. I will be continuing on Twitch now. Link in the description below. I'm doing this for algorithmic purposes only, and I also want to watch the qualifying with you. So if you want to watch the qualifying with me, join me over on Twitch. Link in the description below. Do not miss that. I will be ending the stream on YouTube now. All right, Twitch chat, say goodbye to YouTube. Thank you so much for all the super chats and the interactions and the chat spams. I really enjoyed myself. See you in Canada in 2 weeks' time. And also make sure to follow me on all the other social media because I do have some stuff in this off week between the Spanish Grand Prix and the Canadian Grand Prix that I think you will find exciting. All of that will be happening over on Twitch side, so make sure you follow me on Twitch. Ending the stream on YouTube now. Twitch, link in the description. Twitch viewers, don't go anywhere. I'm staying with you. Alright, bye YouTube. And that is